Hello, everyone. This is our Internships 101 session for School of Visual Media and Performing Arts. My name is Michael Sarro. I am the Assistant Director for Career Employer Engagement at Magner Center. I'm also the Career Counselor for the School of Visual Media and Performing Arts. So if you have questions about your resume, cover letter, doing mock interviews, internships, mentors, you'd come to me, and then we would talk about your career possibilities. So I'm actually joined by Gabriella Centeno, who is one of our college assistants at Magner Center, and she's also a TV radio major. So we're going to share some advice today about internships, the importance of internships, how to maximize the internship. This is a really good conversation to have in terms of where to find the internship, how important it is, how do we put it onto the resume, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go into that. We're going to go into detail about that. Also, if you do have questions, you can put the questions in the chat, and then we'll try to get to those questions more towards the end. I want to get through the presentation first. I do have a lot of helpful resources, links to resources that I think is going to be good for everyone here. And then, of course, anybody that watches this later on YouTube. And yes, we're going to hype our YouTube channel a lot. There is a specific playlist on the Magner Center YouTube channel that's dedicated just to School of Visual Media. And that includes alumni, but also employers from various fields. And we're always trying to add more content to that playlist. So we're going to talk about that and more. Okay, we're going to start with this presentation. For the time being, if anybody wants to, you can put in the chat whether you've done an internship, or if you'd like, you can even mention where you did your internship. If you haven't done an internship, that's totally fine. I hope that this presentation will help you decide to go into looking for an internship. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of helpful resources here. So let's start with the presentation. Internship 101, how to land and succeed at your internship. Okay, so degrees are great, but internships make a difference. This is very true. Most university officials and employers maintain that partaking in one or more internships will set a student apart from his or her peers. Completing internships before graduation is integral to finding meaningful employment in today's job market. Yes, so internships are a really great way to basically try on a field. I think a lot of students, that maybe are undecided, not sure if they want to go into, video editing, or do they want to go into just production, or, do they want to go into art teaching? There's all kinds of different areas that you can kind of explore, especially with an internship, and it'll give you that insight into whether or not that's the right path for you. So internships are very important. And again, having that on your resume definitely builds your resume, builds your experiences, builds your skills. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. All right, so what is an internship? Internship is a short-term work experience in a professional environment. Yes, this is very important. I know that there are a lot of students who maybe don't want to do an internship or haven't considered doing an internship for a couple of reasons. One, maybe it's because, there's a commitment to the internship. Maybe you're working at a job and then you have to try to find time to be able to do the internship, right? Or maybe it's because some of these internships are unpaid. So there's that also. The unpaid part, we do have a stipend award that we will talk about, and we actually have extended our deadline for the stipend award. So for I think it's for the summer and fall stipend award, it's been extended, and we'll find the date. Gabby, maybe find the date in terms of when that's been extended to.
The 14th.
April 14th, good.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have an internship to apply to that stipend award. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on, but that is an option in terms of, unpaid internships. But it is a short-term work experience in a professional environment. It is good to have that, it is good to be able to schedule that if you can in between, of course, your coursework, maybe your regular job. 2 days a week, lots of times. It can be 3 days, and it'll be longer than that too, possibly more days. It all depends. You work with the employer in terms of that. Okay, emphasis on learning and earning. This is true. Learning new skills. This is also very important. I think a lot of times students get caught up with, well, how am I going to land an internship if I don't have a lot of like skills, let's say? But you have to think about where your transferable skills are from, right? Is it from your current work experience? Is it from volunteering? Is it skills that maybe you've gained from coursework, projects you've done in class? So there are skills that you have. It's just that you have to really do that self-assessment of yourself, right? And see where do you have these skills. As long as an employer can see that you do have skills and these are transferable skills, then they can teach you on the job as well, right? So that's the whole point of the internship. The internship is, yes, to gain experience, but it's also for them to kind of teach you what they do on a daily basis, right? So there's that, gain insider contacts. Yes, that's very important also. So there's that saying, you know, it's not only what you know, it's who you know. So it's also, you know, who's in your network. That's going to be very important. And then, of course, clarifying your career goals, like I mentioned before. You know, I've had students who wanted to go into business and they thought maybe accounting was what they wanted to do, but then they were able to do the internship and then realize maybe that isn't right for them, so they decided to try something else, business management, let's say, in that situation. This is the same thing, like I had said before, about being a video editor versus being a cinematographer or whatnot, right? So it's just helping you kind of make an informed decision about your career path. All right, an internship can build a professional resume. This is very true. I've worked with a lot of students over the years, and whenever they've landed an internship, especially if it's an internship at a recognizable company, right? If a student's landed an internship at an NBC or SiriusXM, the name value alone will get them like attention in terms of the resume. So that's actually very good, right, to have. Once somebody sees that you've done a high profile internship like that, it'll just open doors even more. Even if you haven't, let's say you did do an internship and it's not a high profile company, it's still going to be about the experiences and the skills that you gained from that. And we really need to be thorough in terms of what did you learn there, right? So help you build a sense of professionalism, yep. Help you build your professional persona, create a network of professional contacts, extremely important. Help you develop leadership and interpersonal skills, of course. Defray college costs if it is a paid internship, right? Allow you to explore career profession. Establish references. That's another thing that's going to be very important, is references. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. Increased employment opportunities. So yes, people can, it depends on the employer. I have heard stories of students who do get hired from the internship itself. That's really great. You know, you do the internship, they get to see how you are there, and then you could get hired there in a full-time capacity. Has that happened? Yes, that's happened a lot of times. Does it always happen? No, but it is an option, and I think you should always conduct yourself at an internship in that way, because the idea is, you know, maybe later on, let's say you do your internship and then let's say 6 months or a year later, if you still stay in touch with the people that you interned with and an opportunity has arisen at that company 6 months or a year later, then that's an obvious kind of entry point there. You could always say, it's like, you know, I did the internship here, it was really great. And that could be a way to kind of lead you into a full-time position, right? Even after the fact, right? And I've had people that have interned at certain companies and then they ended up working there, but like years later. So always remember that too, that's an option. Okay, so we've got a really great video here with Shahzoda, who talks a little bit about her experiences
Hi, my name is Shahzoda. I'm a junior at Brooklyn College studying computer engineering, and I'm excited to share my story about how Magner Center helped me. I entered Brooklyn College as a freshman, and I didn't have a job experience. I didn't really know what an internship was. I never had done a cover letter or a resume, and I came here completely clueless. I first went to the job fair, and I just worked as a volunteer from 8 a.m. to the whole day, and it was absolutely amazing because I got to meet all the staff and I got to meet all the students, and I was really excited just to be a part of it. So I went to more panels, more events, and eventually I became an ambassador volunteer, which was like an unpaid position, and I worked a lot, and it was absolutely amazing. There's a lot of things people don't tell you when you're a first generation student or you're an immigrant. Nobody really helps you find an internship. Nobody really tells you when you're supposed to start looking, and I certainly didn't have anyone. When I started volunteering here, I learned about all the different things I could do. I met with so many different panelists. I met with so many different inspirational men and women, and I felt really empowered, and I started just looking for an internship as a freshman. Since then, I've secured an internship as a website developer. I've secured an internship as a software engineer. I've done small size companies where me and like one other person was the whole engineering team. I've had a medium sized company where Teachers Pay Teachers was the company I worked at, and I got to do everything from DevOps to software engineering to website development, and I'm really proud of that. This summer I'll be going to JP Morgan, and it just would not be possible without the support and advice I got from the Magner Center. I most definitely recommend the Magner Center to all the students here. It is a great free resource, and I feel like everyone should take advantage of it. They have a lot of really important services. The most importantly is a drop-in session where you can just come in without an appointment and you can have someone review your resume. They have a lot of really great events, including the panels they do, the job fairs. We also have Hire BC, which is an internal job database where employers from all over the nation come specifically to recruit Brooklyn College students. There's also an alumni mentoring program that I've also taken advantage of. We also do company visits, and I feel like it's really, really important that every student uses these.
Shahzoda's got a really great story. She utilized all the services and she got started pretty quickly. I mean, she started as a freshman, but it's never too late to be involved and take advantage of our services. Again, obviously you saw at the last part of that, that was of course when we were in person, pre-COVID. We have in the last year stayed pretty productive. We continue to do career panels, and we still are doing career panels. Actually, we have a few career panels at the end of the month coming up, so there is that. The mentoring program, yes, we're actually going to be revising the mentoring program, but again, the idea of you speaking with somebody who's in the industry is really great. And I've always told students, when you meet with the mentor, you really want to get like what the daily, tasks are that they do, sure, but then also like what are some of the daily challenges? The idea in terms of meeting with a mentor is just making an informed decision about that career. So other than doing an internship, meeting with a mentor and getting insight in terms of what they do on a daily is also very important, right? So, and yes, I mean, once, knock on wood, once, more and more people get the vaccine and we start going back in person, probably hybrid first, and then, being in person again, obviously our resources are going to be there. You can still meet with counselors now to talk about your resumes, cover letters, etc. So that is still an option. So everything is still available. We actually even did recently a virtual company visit with a company named Aon, which was really great. So I hope that we could do maybe more of those virtual company visits as well. So let's continue. What types of internships are available? All right, there are a variety of internship experiences for all majors and various forms of compensation. Definitely paid. How can you go wrong with that? Everybody like being paid, that's good. There are also unpaid internships. This is true, about 50%. That doesn't mean that the internship can't be valuable, right? So even if it's an unpaid internship, they actually may be extremely valuable to do it. And this goes back to the stipend awards and being able to be compensated for that. We can talk about the stipend awards in a bit. Yes, you can receive academic credit. Right, the stipend awards. All right, so I could talk about the stipend awards. Basically, if you apply to the stipend award and if you are selected, it's very competitive. We get a lot of students who, apply to this and there's only a certain amount of funding that's available, right, to compensate a student for an unpaid internship. So the application process, the most important thing is a couple things. One, obviously your resume should be as flawless as possible. We'll talk about resumes in a little while. But then also your answers to the essay questions are very important, okay? And you definitely want to spend time really making sure that you're hitting upon all the important points in the essay answers, okay? Why do you need the funding, right? Everybody has a need, but what is yours specifically, right? And how important is this internship going to be to you? All of that is extremely important, and that's what I've noticed over the years. Okay, students that can kind of convey that, really go into depth about why they chose this field, why this is going to be so important to them, that's going to be important for you to stand out, right, from your applications. Some students, the reason why I don't get it is that they don't go into detail about it enough. And that's the thing, and it's so competitive, you know, so keep that in mind in terms of really being able to convey why this is so important to you, right? Okay. What else do we have here? Right. International, yes, there are international internships. I mean, obviously it's on a hold right now, but those are going to be important to do. Possibly if anybody wants to do that, travel overseas and whatnot. On campus, yeah. So even now in our remote world and remote setting, students can do an internship. They can volunteer. We have volunteers at Magner Center. We've had interns at Magner Center. Gabby actually was a volunteer last semester. So again, you know, even though we're still remote, we're still trying to be as productive and accommodating as possible with these opportunities. Right, in the virtual space, which is what I just mentioned. Yeah, and we do recommend completing at least 2 internships before graduation. Why? Well, definitely helps with the skill building. It definitely helps with the resume building. And also, I've seen students that have decided to intern in 2 different areas within a specific field, right? So I have a bachelor's degree in film, and I decided to try out 2 different types of internships. I did an internship in casting, and then I did another internship at a talent agency because they're similar, but also a little bit different. And I wanted to know the kind of difference between the 2. And both of them were really great experiences. I gained a lot from that. I was able to build my network, and I was able to understand which one of those was maybe better for me, which one I liked more. Okay. And again, that just kind of helps build the resume. When you consider an unpaid internship, so the Magner Center recommends applying to paid internships. However, at times it may be worthwhile to consider an unpaid internship since 50% of internships are unpaid. Yes, this is very true. In the media industry, yeah, that's very, very true in the media industry. If it is like a corporation though, like a NBC or Disney, then we're seeing more and more of those being paid. So that's not gonna be a problem. It's some of the smaller production companies or some of the smaller boutique firms and things like that that might not pay. However, you can get a lot of really great experience out of it. So that's something to consider, especially the smaller companies. I've noticed even what Shahzoda had said in the video, you know, it was just her and another person that was part of the development team. I mean, sometimes when you work at some of these smaller production companies or just smaller firms, smaller companies in general, you get a lot of experience, a lot of hands-on experience because it's sort of like a smaller niche group, right? So you're going to really get a lot out of the internship. Not so much where it's like, well, they have you doing all this extra work and you're not getting paid. It shouldn't be looked at in that way unless they are kind of doing that, where it's like they're giving you menial kind of work to do, just administrative. But if it's more along the lines of really meaningful kind of stuff, right? Meaningful tasks, meaningful skills that you're gaining. Again, when you're at the internship, think about how you're going to add that content, the experiences to your resume, right? Always be thinking, you know, what are the quantifying data that I could put onto my resume? What's the results-driven stuff that I was able to do at the internship? Were you able to increase their social media presence by 50%, you know, or Were you able to help them be more efficient in terms of the way that they were doing work? I mean, it's all those things you should think about while you're at the internship. More than just like, oh, I'm just doing more work. It's like, it shouldn't be just that. It should be like, how are you going to maximize this on your resume? Question to ask yourself when considering an unpaid internship. You have experience in the field already. That's very true. Will you have opportunities to expand your network? Is this a reputable company? That goes back to you definitely doing your research about the company. As soon as you find out who they are, you got to do the research on them, Google them and see what comes up. Okay, you can even use Glassdoor to do some searching in terms of that. Does the internship provide training and exposure to the field that will be valuable for your career development? Yep, this is all very important. Yeah, and you could go to this tiny URL here, tinyurl.com, paid and unpaid internships for more information about that. Okay. What is a stipend award? Are you unable to afford an unpaid internship? So the stipend award is for those who plan on interning, but the internship is unpaid, available for both undergraduates and graduate students. So in this case, of course, students in the Fierstein program, absolutely. This is an opportunity for funds for those who cannot afford to intern for free. The base amount is $15. Students can request more based on their, the base amount is $1,800, right? Students can request more based on their circumstances. Yes, so there is an option to be able to budget it and explain like why you would need maybe more than 18. Maybe you need 2,000 or 2,500 and whatnot. For spring, deadlines in October, and for the fall, the summer and fall, the deadlines in March. But as we mentioned before, it has been extended to April 14th. And for more information, visit tinyurl.com/Magner stipends. Okay. Stipend awards, very important. And again, this is good that we are talking about it now because like we said before, the deadline has been moved. And like I had mentioned before, you don't have to have the internship lined up already. You can apply first, go through the entire process, and then you'd have to look for the unpaid internship afterwards. If you do have an unpaid internship already lined up for the summer or the fall, this is perfect then also. International internships, of course, allow you to experience another culture, prepare you for 21st century globalized marketplace, can earn you academic credit, strengthen your resume. Summer's a good time to participate in an international internship. Of course, this is all pre-COVID and now also the idea of this being post-COVID, right? So even after COVID and everybody has been vaccinated and we have it under control, being able to do an internship overseas can be really rewarding. Some of our former college assistants at Magner Center have been able to intern abroad. One specifically had interned in Glasgow. So great opportunities, great opportunities. So if you could do it now, do it for sure. All right, so where do students intern? So here are several places in media where students have interned. I'm happy to say that I know most of the students that have interned at these places here. NBC, we have a lot of not only interns, but we also have a lot of alumni who work at NBC. So that's really great. Sony Music, Studio Institute. So for any of the students that are interested in art, Studio Institute's really great. They actually have their internship program is available to apply to right now for the summer. So that's going to be very important. And I'll try to share that before the end of this presentation. SiriusXM, Pandora, Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, American Museum of Natural History, MoMA. MoMA actually has a lot of opportunities. Right now they are doing something. We have a partnership between MoMA and CUNY. So that's going to be really interesting. I'll try to share that as well. The Gothamist, Discovery, Brooklyn Navy Yard. Brooklyn Navy Yard is very interesting. If people don't know what the Brooklyn Navy Yard is, that's basically the old Navy Yard, obviously, downtown Brooklyn, that is now being repurposed. It's been repurposed and reinvented to help startup companies. across various areas, and giving them the opportunity and the space to build their business, their brand. And from a media standpoint, they are definitely looking for students that are interested in media, because that helps the small businesses reach the public, right? So you as a media student, if you're marketing, if you are, video production or art or social media, whatever your interests are, that's gonna be very valuable, of course, to those startup companies, because you're helping them create awareness about their brand, their products, etc. So definitely consider Brooklyn Navy Yard. They do hire a lot of our students. ABC News, and then the last one I want to mention is CUNY Cultural Corps, which is a really great program because they place you at one of the cultural institutions around the city. So if you have an interest in art, especially with art, or music, this is great. This is a great opportunity. They extended their deadline as well to apply. I believe that's April 16th. So that is something to consider as well. All right, CUNY Cultural Corps, really great. Okay. When are internships available? Every semester. Some organizations, industry, such as Kings County DA's office and the New York City Council, seek interns throughout the entire year, whereas others may only hire interns once a year. This is true. The Ad Council, I believe, only hires interns just for the summer, whereas NBC has 2 or 3 cohorts throughout the year. So that's something to consider. The duration of an internship may vary depending on the student and the employer. They typically last 1 semester. This is very true. Sometimes it's 10 weeks, sometimes it's 12 weeks. It's something that you would work out with the employer itself. And then during the academic year, spring and fall internships tend to be part-time. In the summer, some internships are full-time, yeah, and I have seen that where in the summer you would have to make more of a full-time commitment to the internship, but that's great because then you're working with them 4 or 5 days a week, and again, if it's paid, it's even better. So, and really, you're building all that experience and building the resume. What do employers look for? Primarily upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors. In some cases, freshmen and sophomores are eligible to apply. That's very true. So if you are a freshman or a sophomore, don't be dissuaded. I would still encourage people to apply anyway. And again, if you feel like that's not happening, you can always think about volunteering at any of the various departments on campus. That could definitely help build your resume in the meantime. But definitely for juniors and seniors, by this point, as a junior and senior, you would have declared your major. You have an idea of where your career trajectory may go. And if that's the case, then doing an internship is just going to help build your resume. And also, there's that idea, especially with seniors and graduating seniors, that potential of doing the internship and then maybe being hired afterwards. That's always, of course, a great option. All right, so related majors. With a GPA of 3.0 or above. For some fields industry, the minimum GPA is higher. That's very true. For the media industry, I don't believe it's that important, the GPA. It depends. Sometimes the corporations may want you to have at least a 2.5 or a 3.0. They'll make that clear in the posting itself, in the internship posting, but it's not always about the GPA. A lot of times it's because of the experiences that you have, right? So the experiences, especially with media, can be more important, I guess, right, in terms of the employer. So I would not get too worried about the GPA. Yes, strive for that 3.0, but it's also about the experiences in media. All right, more competitive internships seek previous internship experience. This is true, part-time job, volunteer positions, and student government participation. That's always great to have on your resume. It's all transferable skills. According to NACE, skills employers look for in interns include, well, communication, both in speech and writing, with persons inside and outside the organization, work in a team structure, make decisions and solve problems, be able to plan, organize, and prioritize work, and be proficient with computer software. All of this is extremely important. So when I mentioned before about you doing a self-assessment of who you are, this is what you should be self-assessing. These are the transferable skills that maybe you have from, let's say you work at a doctor's office and you're kind of worried, like, well, how am I going to work in media if my experiences have been in a doctor's office? Well, all of these skills right here, these are all going to be very important to be able to convey on the resume. And then not only that, but to convey it as effective as possible, right? So that's why I went back to the idea of quantifying, right? So what does that mean? If you are answering more than 50 or 100 phone calls on a daily basis, that's great. That should be on the resume. People need to see what type of workload you can deal with, what kind of work ethic you have in order to be able to stay effective, right? So in terms of how many patients, let's say, you were dealing with, or if you were helping them problem solve things, what was that? Was it their insurances, et cetera, et cetera? So again, self-assess who you are and those skills that you possess from your experiences that might not relate to the field. Okay, and in terms of computer software, again, for the media industry, yes. I mean, again, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, Avid, DaVinci, there's a lot of different programs that are very important. What else is there? Avid Media Composer. Yeah, so there's a lot of things to consider. And of course, the social media platforms as well. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I mean, again, you know, most of us here are all media people, so then that means it's all going to be about content creation, engaging your audience. So knowing how to use those platforms is going to be important. All right. All right, and there's a tip. Additional requirements may vary depending on the employer and industry. I'm always telling students, look at the internship or job description. Definitely make note of certain key buzzwords, and I'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about resumes, but certain key buzzwords from the job description, you're going to need to make sure that some of those buzzwords are on your resume for something called the ATS, the Applicant Tracking System, or the Automated Tracking System. I will get back to that in a bit. Okay. How do I prepare before even applying? Meet with a career counselor, right? So you always meet with me, even if you're not really sure what area to go into in terms of a field. Like, there are a lot of students that are undecided, and they need to make an informed decision. So maybe before they do an internship, maybe they want to meet with a mentor. That's an option. You know, we could talk it through. We don't help students necessarily declare a major or courses that you need to take in terms of the major itself. We don't really do that. Once you know what you want to do in terms of a career trajectory, possibly, that's when we can, like, if you've already decided, well, I definitely want to go into media, you know, I want to go into film, but I'm not sure which area in film, we can talk that through. I mean, lots of times it has to do with what your interests are. And that's why doing an internship or meeting with a mentor is going to be important. Or even coming to any of our career panels, or even just watching videos on our YouTube channel to help give you some more of that information about that field. Plus, you have to do the research about that field too. All right, and you can do that by going on vault.com and Glassdoor, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, so conduct research regarding your career. Yep. And define your goals, complete all self-assessment tests available, explore your skills, values, and interests. So if you go on our YouTube channel, there are videos there focusing on something called the Color Q. The Color Q career assessment is an assessment that you take, and it basically narrows down what your potential career paths could be, your career interests, what's your ideal work environment, who's you know, what kind of ideal boss is right for you. It's those things, right? And again, it narrows down what potential fields that you would be good at based on your personality. Okay, so the Color Q can give you a little bit more insight into potential career paths. All right, so there is a video about that on the YouTube channel, so I would suggest that anybody that wants to take that, the links are there and you can check that out. Identify companies and industries of interest. I mean, I've mentioned that to students. We've we've spoken about like what would be the ideal company for you to work at, and let's look at that, list them out, what would it be NBC? Would it be Disney? Would it be Discovery Channel? Like what would it be, right? So not only would you, actively kind of check on any job or internship opportunities on their social media, maybe even on their careers pages. That's all very important to do. Choose a major early. Yeah, that's going to be important to kind of make that decision. So again, the color cue can sort of help in terms of narrowing a field down, but you'd have to do the research definitely. And I would also suggest to speak with specific departments as well. I mean, you can use the CAS, which is the Center for Academic Student Advisement. So CAS is really great, but then I would also suggest going to the actual department itself. Go right to the art department, go right to the film department, whatever it may be, and have a discussion with some of the people there. Right, and participate in career panels, company visits, and networking events. And like I said, we are still hosting quite a few of those. And get a mentor, as I mentioned. I think getting a mentor is important because, again, they'll kind of give you the inside track on what that particular field is. And I've had students change their career track because they spoke with somebody and they gave them their honest, opinion in terms of what the field is like. And it's okay to ask the alum. And it doesn't even have to be an alumni mentor. It could be just a professional contact that maybe you met at one of our events. It's just helping you make an informed decision, right? So, and it's totally okay to ask them what some of the daily challenges are like, or what do they like most about their job? I mean, those are all important questions. What does a strong resume include? Right, so student organizations plan to take on a leadership role in college. Yes, so if you do have any type of organizations, even now, virtual memberships, that's always great to have on the resume. Work or internship experience, of course, very important, as we mentioned before. Campus engagement, student government, student newspapers, yes. Students that are interested in journalism, I definitely direct them towards the BC Vanguard, which is the college newspaper. If a student's interested in radio, I would suggest WBCR, Brooklyn College Radio. You could always contact them on their social media, or you would just talk to somebody in the TV, radio, or the TREM department. TV radio is now TREM, television, radio, and emerging media. So you can have a discussion with someone there. Volunteering, yep. So staying active, I definitely would suggest volunteering. As I mentioned before, Gabby was a volunteer. We have another volunteer that's with us now. This was good to stay active during the pandemic. I mean, you don't want to have too much of, gaps on the resume. So volunteering, I think, a certain amount of hours during the week is going to be very important. So career-related events, so conferences, career panels, company visits, skill building workshops. So that's all going to be very important. One of the skills too that's extremely important in your internship and job search process is your ability to interview. So whenever I meet with students, the first thing that we have to discuss is your 30-second or 1-minute pitch, your elevator pitch. How do you describe who you are in those time intervals, right? And also, the elevator pitch is basically your answer to the very first question that employers always ask, which is, tell me about yourself. So tell me about yourself is very important, and just to go into that really briefly, the best elevator pitches are the ones that don't necessarily go over everything on your resume. You're not going to say everything from your resume verbatim because they've already seen your resume most likely. So if they've already read your resume, I would touch upon the resume a little bit, yes, but not the whole time that you're doing your pitch. Some of that time, let's say you're doing a 1-minute pitch. I mean, basically the first 30 seconds could be what's on your resume, but the other 30 seconds really should be about the skills that you possess that relate to this position that you're applying to. And also, why are you passionate or interested or eager about that field or about that company? That's going to be important to mention. All right. So when you put that personal spin on there in your pitch, you are going to stand out from the competition that might not have done that, and all they did was just read off their resume like verbatim. So keep that in mind, because it's stories like that, people's personal stories, their personal motivations as to why this is so important to them, is going to be more memorable than those that don't do that. Okay. And again, like I said, during the career counseling appointments, mock interviews is definitely an option. All right. Right, to build a great resume, visit, right, so we have the tinyurl.com Magner resume guide, and I also have a link to the tinyurl.com Magner resume template. That is a Google Doc, and you could download that Google Doc and work on the resume from there. It's a template that we were able to create that we typically use with students. It's easy to read, and we'll probably go over it before the end of this session. Steps to landing an internship. The search the internship websites, specific industry websites, company websites, LinkedIn, HireBC. HireBC is our job site, so everybody should have an account on there. You should be able to log in and do some searches there on HireBC. I do send mass emails out about job internship and job opportunities through HireBC, so you should be getting emails from us, from something called HireBC or Simplicity. So you should be getting those. If you're not getting those, then you may have the wrong email listed on your HireBC profile. Or it might be going to spam too. So you may have to check your spam folder and check. Okay, LinkedIn, yes, LinkedIn has job boards. You know, I know a lot of people have LinkedIn, but they don't really use it. Now is a good time to use the LinkedIn, and I could talk a little bit about LinkedIn a little bit later, but LinkedIn is, of course, very important, not only to build your network, but also research companies. There are job boards there. There are professional organizations that you could join. And especially for the students that are interested in media and the arts, your LinkedIn profile could actually serve as like a portfolio of your work, because you could put media, clips to videos, artwork, maybe flyers, and graphic design work that you've done. All of that could go onto your LinkedIn profile. So that's how you would maximize the LinkedIn profile. Okay, put a lot of visual there. Okay, internship websites and specific industry websites. Well, this is true. One site that I tell students to go on is entertainmentcareers.net. That's a really great website. There's journalismjobs.com, marketingjobs.com. There's mediabistro.com. There's Production Hub. There's so many different job sites that's available for Schoology Media. Okay. Right, so network, talk to friends, family, alumni, mentors, and faculty. So this is gonna be very important because maybe some of your friends did an internship at SiriusXM and you want to intern there. So you can kind of pick their brain a little bit about that, of course. Family, of course, could give you all kinds of connections, perhaps. Alumni, yeah, alumni as well. And in terms of alumni, when you speak with an alum, an alumni mentor, or just a professional industry mentor, you don't want to start the conversation by saying, can you help me get a job? I mean, that's the fast track to turning these people off and being like, you know, really? You don't start with that, you know? A lot of these mentors know where you're coming from. You're trying to get information about the field. And if you go about speaking with them in the right way, they are more likely than to look out for you about an internship or a job within their organization. So I always tell students, focus more your questions when you meet with a mentor, focus some of those questions, the first questions, on that person, their experiences in the field. Why did they choose the field? What's their typical day like? And then you kind of change it to, well, this is where I am currently, you know, I'm trying to gain more experience in XYZ, whatever it may be. You know, do you have any suggestions for me in terms of how I could be competitive in the field right now? And they'll give you some options. And, but again, I would never mention like, can you help me get a job there? these people may offer, like I'll be on the lookout for your resume. Maybe I'll forward your resume on to somebody, perhaps, possibly. It's no guarantee. But the more people that you meet, the better it is, and it increases your odds of landing an internship in a job. And one more point, yeah, faculty definitely, faculty and people like us at the Magner Center, we just know so many students that have now graduated and now are alumni and work in various fields. So I know everybody that I know people that have become journalists, TV anchors, actors, production assistants, production managers, cinematographers, artists, marketing professionals. There's so many. So something to keep in mind when you talk to faculty and then counselors like myself. And then attend career fairs. We had our career fair about a week or two ago. And we did have some employers that were looking to hire school vision media students, recruiting presentations and employer presentations, like info sessions. At the end of this month, I'm working to try to get a couple of marketing organizations to do an info session. And that's going to be important because then if you were to apply to any of their opportunities, if not now, maybe in a couple of months, you could still refer back to the fact that you had attended an info session that they spoke at and that you were really interested in what they were saying about the company. That's perfect. That's a perfect icebreaker. All right, so important resources to help you land an internship. There are various links here if you want to screenshot this, or we could put this in an email as a follow-up to everybody that attended this session. So email intern@brooklyn.edu for more information, or if you want to share some of your experiences with the internship, or if there's a problem with the internship, you can send an email there. I do want to touch upon some of these links, so I am going to click on some of these and we're going to go to some of them. The School of Visual Media Google site, which is really great, Internships 101, TV film resources, I'm going to touch upon that, paid internships, resume template on Google Docs. Yes, so that's going to be very important. Right, we mentioned that before, so that is there. It's already pre-made Google Doc resume format. School Vision Media YouTube video playlist. So that's the specific playlist for School Vision Media. There's a resume writing tutorial video that I hosted, so that's on there, and it goes in depth in terms of how to properly format the resume and what are the best ways to kind of fill in the template, basically. Like, do you need a summary? You don't always need a summary, but if you are going to have one, what should that focus on? What are the order of the different sections on your resume? We have the quick reference guide, Hire BC, as I mentioned, vault.com is a really great resource. And you can also subscribe to CUNY's weekly list of jobs, internships, events, resources, and more. There's actually another one that is not on this list. Center for Communication is a very good resource. So I would definitely suggest students looking into that particular website. They do have a lot of valuable resources, and they have events that they host, virtual events, especially right now, which are valuable and important. After the internship, what happens next? So first things first, after the internship, your employer will ask, after the internship, your employers will be asked to complete an evaluation of you. So that's going to be important. Obviously, when you're there at the internship, to make a really great impression. How do you really make a great impression? Well, one, don't be late. Try not to be late because people notice that. Two, people will notice if you finish your work ahead of schedule, let's say, and you ask to do more work or to help out in any way, people will remember that, okay? And then, like I had said before, do that self-assessment. What are you learning from the internship? Is it effective? Is it good in terms of building your resume, your skill set? And can you learn even more stuff at the internship? Hence why you should ask for more work if that's feasible and possible to do. And again, having these people as your professional contacts later on is going to be important, right? So like I said, I mean, if an opportunity arises later on down the line at that company, that's an easy in right there. You'll be asked to complete an evaluation of your employer and your internship experience. So this is very important. Again, assessing the internship. Was it helpful? Was it valuable? What did you learn from it? You should update your resume to reflect your new experiences. Have a career counselor like myself can review it, review it again. And again, this is where my mind goes when I go and I review resumes. I want to know, what did you learn from it? How are we going to leverage that experience? And we go in depth. Like, your bullet points shouldn't be like answered phones and, met with customers. I'm like, no, it should be more than that. Let's go into more detail. What did you learn? What were the results of the work that you did? That kind of thing. All right. Stay connected with your internship supervisor and colleagues. That is spelled wrong. We will fix that. See, I caught it, but I didn't see it before. Anyways, yes. How do you stay in touch with them? Obviously, LinkedIn is a great way to do that, for sure. Of course, email, keeping in touch with them through email. Now, how do you go about doing that? And this also goes for, the mentors too, right? So like the alumni mentor, your professional industry mentor, your supervisor, who's also your mentor. How do you stay in touch with them effectively? Well, I would every so often, every few months, let's say, or maybe twice a year, whatever it may be, give them an update as to what you're doing. Talk to them about a little bit about the industry, perhaps. Maybe if you are friends with them on LinkedIn and you're noticing posts that they put on LinkedIn, you can comment on those. But you can also give them an update in terms of what you're doing, right? So, and you can always tell them, it's like, thank you for suggesting for me to join this particular organization. I did so, and I was able to go to like 3 different events, which were really great, and I was able to network with people at Paramount or at Disney, et cetera, et cetera. That's really great, because then these mentors will know that they made a difference when they spoke with you, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that? Who wouldn't want to hear that kind of good news, right? So it's that kind of thing, and it's that kind of approach. I think it really shouldn't be contacting them because you need something. You really should try to contact them to give them an update, see how they're doing, comment about something that's happening in the industry, that kind of thing. All right, we would love to hear about your internship experience. So if you do want to lend a testimonial to about a particular company, about a particular internship, you could do that here. This is the tinyurl.com landed an internship. Help future BC students who may want to intern at the same place. So, for example, I was working with a student recently who went through a program called IRTS. IRTS is a really fantastic media-related program that helps place you at an internship, be paired with the mentor. So I actually recorded a really quick Zoom session with a student, a graduate student, who went through the program. And she talked about her experiences. It was really great. So I think that's going to help promote that program, and a program that maybe not everybody would know about. And that's on our YouTube, and that's on our social media as well. So that's a perfect example of that kind of program. CUNY Cultural Core, all kinds of opportunities. Okay. Okay, safety is safety in the internship search. Right, there are hundreds of internships posted each year, and the college cannot pre-screen each posting. This is very true. Students should use precautions when contacting and meeting a potential employer because they are strangers. Meet only in safe public places when and where there are other people around. This, of course, goes without saying, but also in the virtual space as well. Let's see. Right, so visit more, all right, for more, visit the tinyurl.com employer red flags for more information. You can also email intern@brooklyn.cu.edu with any concerns. This is very important. Yes, there's a lot of spam. There's a lot of red flags and just employers that are not really employers, or they're employers that just kind of want free labor. These kind of things you should be highly aware of, and that's why doing the research about the company is going to be important. An internship is never going to work, like a legitimate internship or job is never going to ask you to pay for like training or ask for money from you, right? It's not about that. So if you do see things like that, you can let us know for sure, but review the red flags. And like I said, I mean, whenever I tell students to go on entertainmentcareers.net or Media Bistro, do a Google search on those companies, go on LinkedIn, go on Glassdoor, do the research about who they are. You can email me directly, or you can email careernews@brooklyn.cuny.edu. If you do email me directly, it may take some time because I get a lot of emails. It might take me a little while to kind of respond, but that is one option. The other option, of course, is Career News, and that would go to some of my colleagues there, and as well as our director, and then we would be able to schedule something there as well. So that's probably the best way to do that. And then you can highlight exactly what it is that you'd want to talk about. Is it color Q? Is it mock interviews? Is it resume? I mean, first and foremost is you have to have your resume on point. That's the most important thing that we have to get done, because that is your marketing tool. That's the first thing an employer is going to see. So I always start with the resume first. So this is the resume template on Google Drive. So name, contact info up on top. This has already been pre-made. You know, it's already been formatted. You know, we made the margins 0.5. The font is Calibri 11. Your name should be the largest thing on the page. The summary is optional. Definitely not required. We definitely don't require summaries. It's really up to you. Sometimes summaries can be bad because then people just use the same summary over and over and over again for every employer, and then they never change it to address the key skills that the employer is asking for from the job description. Now, back to my point earlier about the ATS, the Applicant or Automated Tracking System. That is a program that scans resumes for key buzzwords, keywords that they're going to want and they're going to need. And the reason for students who apply to, let's say, like a corporate job at an NBC, I always use NBC as an example, I guess, but I mean, we have so many alum there too, which is really great. But, and not only them, there's so many other companies as well. But when you apply to those corporate sites and you don't change your summary or you don't change the bullet points on your resume to reflect those buzzwords, that is why people don't hear from the employer. That ATS scans and picks out people that have enough of the buzzwords that are on the resume itself. So summaries are effective for two reasons. One, I would say you would need a summary on your resume because let's say you don't have enough experience in the field, right? You've never done anything related to, let's say, video editing, right? You've worked in a doctor's office or you worked in retail, whatever it may be, and you don't have anything relevant to that particular internship that you're applying to. The summary is there to highlight the transferable skills that you possess. And then not only that, but to express what your career path is. You could start this by saying that you are an aspiring video editor with experience working with programs such as Adobe Premiere. That's a great first sentence, because if they're asking for Adobe Premiere in the job description, then it can be mentioned in the summary. Okay, so the summary helps in terms of if you don't have enough experience in the field, it helps kind of put that context. Like if they're going to look at your resume right away, very quickly, and they see maybe about this half, this should be all related to as much about that internship as possible or that field. So the summary, definitely have to revise it based on the buzzwords and specific key skills and experiences the employer is asking for in the posting. Super important. Okay, another reason why the summary is important for some would be, let's say you're doing a career transition. Let's say you started out as being a music major and then you decided to switch over to marketing, let's say. as an example. And you have a lot of experience that was related to music. All right, so how are you now, because if somebody looks at your resume very quickly, they're gonna ask themselves like, well, this person is heavily into music. We're looking for a marketing person. That's why in the summary you have to state, that you are doing a career transition, that you're trying to go from music to marketing, but there are transferable skills from that, and how do you make the case for it, right? So that's why a summary is important, right? Explaining the career transition and trying to then leverage the skills that may relate to that position that you're applying to. Okay. Like I said, you don't always need the summary. I do help students. Once a student has enough experience in the field, like I worked with one student who wanted to be a cinematographer. And once she worked on several student films, her own projects, she did an internship that was a photography internship. Once she had that on the resume, she didn't need a summary. Because when somebody looks at her resume, it's obvious that she's a cinematographer and that she's a photo editor and a photographer. It's obvious. You don't need it anymore. You could also do something else here underneath your name. You could say, video editing professional could go there. You could always put this in italics as well, right? Or maybe you want to be known as a music marketing professional. That could work too. So if you don't have the summary, maybe you put that there. It's possible. Okay, and then of course your education. You could put coursework here. It's totally optional. It's only there just to strengthen the fact that this is your career path and these are the classes that you've taken. But if you already have experience in the field, relevant coursework does not need to be there. Projects from class, yes, could definitely go there. I've worked with students who are journalism majors and they wrote pieces for the BC Vanguard. And I'm like, well, then we're gonna put a bullet point there. And then we're gonna say that you pitched, developed, and wrote articles focusing on, and then explain what those articles are. And you can also link to like the works that you've done. So projects are also important. Professional experience, yes, so this is your work experience. You could also create another section. You could also do media experience as its own section, right? So everything related to media, your internships, whatever, goes there. And then the professional experience are your experiences at, let's say, a pharmacy or a doctor's office that doesn't relate to the field. It's still on your resume, but the media experience gets seen first. Like I said, when people scan your resume literally for like 8 seconds, they'll get to about here before they'll find interest or not, right? So we need to kind of do that. Skills, of course, so if you don't have a summary, the skills section can be there, and then memberships is here as well. Skills could also be moved up a little bit higher too. So remember, keep in mind that all these sections can be moved around, right? So let's say after you've graduated, let's say you're a year or two out from graduation, do you need your education first? No, you don't have to put the education first. You could actually move the media experience, whatever it may be, to the very top. So then right away, they're like, all right, well, this person is a video editor. This person is an artist. This person is a graphic designer. Boom, right away. They'll be able to see it. Okay, let's move on to some other parts too as we're starting to wind down. This is our video playlist on YouTube. There are 70 videos here, and we're adding more. As I mentioned before, of course, there is the Zoom in with Deandra Simon, who was part of the IRTS program. So that's really helpful. Another spot that I want to mention too is this here. This is our School Vision Media and Performing Arts Google site. And this is where I have a lot of our interviews with industry professionals. So we have a producer, we have a TV and comic book writer, we have a reporter, we have somebody who is an associate museum educator at the Met, we have a cinematographer, we have a HR professional from SiriusXM. Not all these people are alumni, actually. There's only two, actually. Patrick and Michael are the two alum. So we do have a lot of industry people that participate on panels and they like to share advice with students. So you can find that here. Also, if you go to the video section, And you scroll down, there are clips from specific Zoom sessions that I did last year. So we have Lydia Hu, Patrick, Rajendra, who's really great, playwright, director, and activist. He's fantastic. He's an alum of the college. And as I mentioned before, Kristen Gordon is the NBC page. She's really great. She shares some advice about the page program itself. So these are quick clips, but then also if you go to the events tab, this is where we have our Zoom sessions in their entirety, which is where this session is most likely going to go. So we have an entire session with the Brooklyn Navy Yard. We had an entire session with the production coordinators at the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and so much more. Yes, we have an iHeartRadio talent, Shanice Charles, who's absolutely fantastic. Of course, Rajendra and more. Okay, so a lot of resources here, Zoom sessions in their entirety, so you can find a lot of that. We have the resume templates here, but I've already shown you that, and there's a link for that. And then internships and job resources, when you click on that, there are links that go directly to this spreadsheet for TV, film, and it overlaps with several other industries as well. But entertainment careers, as I mentioned before, Fine Spark, Mandy, Media Bistro, Production Hub, there's so many really great sites. Production companies, there's a list of at least 50 production companies around the city. We don't have any affiliation with them. We just kind of pulled that information together in one easy place, right? Because you could always just Google, production companies NYC, and sure, there's going to be a ton of stuff. But at least here, I think it was in one easy kind of place to review it. The type of content they develop, where their locations are, their contact info. So I would definitely look into this. Talent staffing agencies. So we do have, this is where you would work with actors and agents, et cetera, et cetera. And this is sort of like seeing the industry from the business side, as I had mentioned before. Rental organizations around the city. Downtown Community Television Center is really great because they also host events, and not only can you rent equipment from there, but they do host events and all kinds of other resources. So they're really great. Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment also is extremely important. They have job boards, but they are the organization where a lot of permits for filming in New York City kind of go through this. Programs and trainings, so Made in New York, Mayor's Office of Film, yes. New York Women in Film as well, T. Howard. CUNY Cultural Corps, as I mentioned before, the NBC Page program. There's a lot of really great opportunities here, IRTS, paid internships, and this is just some. I mean, there's so many more. We just kind of pulled this together to make it a little bit more easier for students. NBC has a tips program. Warner Brothers has a writing workshop. So if you're interested in television writing, starting next month, starting on May 1st, yeah, they will be accepting applications for their writer's workshop. And they would want you to write a spec script for a TV show that's currently on the air, and then also have an original script to apply. So that's a really great program. And there's so many more. The film department has, a great listing of resources, competitions and festivals, etc. So this is the Brooklyn College LinkedIn page. And if you go to Alumni, and I'll put this link in the chat, there's 79,000 people that come up. So if you have a specific interest in working at NBC or Disney or Discovery or The Gothamist or the New York Times, you can actually put those companies there. If you have a specific industry like marketing or media, scoring, screenwriting, you can do a search for that, and then people will come up. Okay, and so we could go about it in two ways. In terms of the mentors, the mentor program right now is being revised but we've been hosting group mentoring sessions. So we have an alum come to a virtual panel, and they have about 20 minutes to speak about their experiences in the field and then take questions from students. So we've been doing that. If you are paired one-on-one with someone, because counselors at the moment still have that ability to be able to do that, pair you with an industry professional. I usually tell students, go here first, do some research in terms of people in particular, industry or area. And then you can always send that to me or to the counselor and say, these are some potential people I was thinking about speaking with. So then after that, the counselor can maybe reach out to the alum and see if they're available to speak with you. We would do that at least once, in one instance, we could potentially do that. But then after that, I mean, ideally, that's what we try to do, at least try to pair a student with one mentor. But then after that, what I would suggest is you reaching out to the alumni and sending them a brief email, a message through LinkedIn. Brief, again, I saw that you're an alum from college and you're currently working in marketing. That's also my career trajectory. I was thinking about maybe I could speak with you about your experiences in the field. Do you have any time to kind of chat? Something brief. Do not put your life story in there. Do not go and say, can you get me a job there at New York Times because I love it. None of that stuff. So I think it's being very short to the point and sending messages to them. And there isn't in there an icebreaker because they're alum of the college and you're a current student or recent grad. So that works as well. We do have a presentation that I ask everyone to watch before they either meet with an alum or just a mentor in general. It's called Building Professional Relationships. I could find that and put that in the chat. I usually want everybody to watch that, and it goes over the do's and don'ts of networking. Okay, so we're currently, like I said before, we're currently revising the program itself, but that's how we've typically sort of gone about that in terms of pairing a student with a mentor and how that process works in terms of research. And this is a great way to research, going on this page and looking for alumni that's in your area, okay? And how to go about independently reaching out to them, okay? So that's one. Two, usually we encourage students to obviously come up with 5 to 7 questions that you would ask these people, whether you meet with them in person, virtually, on the phone. You should have 5 to 7 questions, and they should be geared towards the alum first. And this also goes with non-alum. It should be really about them first. Why did they choose that industry? What do they like the most about it? What's the typical day like for them? What are their daily challenges like? You want to make an informed decision about that particular career. So you're going to want to know that information to make an informed decision. So the first couple of questions are about them, and then you would talk more about who you are, where you're currently at with your career path, right? So then you could ask them, like, what could you be doing right now to kind of make yourself competitive? Are there any organizations that you could join? Would they be interested in looking at your resume? They could potentially do that. You can even ask them if they have any contacts that would be good for you to speak with, right? So maybe they could recommend you to any of their contacts. So you could do that as well. And again, this is all about growing your network. So that's how a lot of successful pairings have gone down, between alumni and students. Being conscientious of their time, about their experiences, making it about them, making it about a conversation. It's information that you're obtaining, and the more people that are in your network, the better it is. And like I said, the most effective way of staying in touch with them would be every so often following up with them to talk about, updates in terms of what you're currently doing, right? So maybe they gave you advice that they told you to join an organization and, add a membership to your resume. And then you went to several of these, let's say, events that this organization was hosting. And then all of a sudden now your network is even bigger than it was before. And then it led to you landing an internship somewhere. You can always message the mentor and say, hey, thank you for that advice. Or so again, giving them some career updates would be great. And also, if you follow them on LinkedIn, you could also comment on any of the posts that they may have. Any kind of posts that they put on their profile on LinkedIn, you can like it and comment, and that's a great way to kind of stay sort of like on the radar of the alum. So do you have any other questions about that? I mean, that's usually the process in terms of students and mentors and alumni mentors. And like I said, I think this is a great place to start. And again, just speaking with the career counselors, we've been doing this for most of the counselors at Magner Center, if not all, have worked there for more than 5 years or more. So we've known a lot of students who are now alumni and have served as mentors. So that's really great, in various areas, across various industries. It's good that there are so many links to resources and so many options, because I think whenever a student feels like they're lost or they don't even know like what to do, the fact that you see all these links, the fact that you have all these templates and the website and the Google site and all that stuff, there are options there. So you should feel good that you shouldn't feel like I have no idea what to do, like where do I start? Or are there any resources? There are plenty of resources. I think the first thing that you should do is work on the resume. That is the very first thing that we have to get done. That's the marketing tool. That's the first thing an employer is going to see. So the resume should be done first. That is without question. Then after that, you could have a conversation with the counselors about internship search, or even if it's like you're unsure of what area to go into. Obviously, an internship is important to help you make that decision, but also finding a mentor, perhaps talking to somebody in your specific departments would definitely help too. But first things first, resume. After the resume is done, right, then you start doing some searches for potential internships and looking at their job descriptions. That's going to be important, because we want to see in the job descriptions what are some of those keywords that the employer is mentioning. And then you have to do that self-assessment. Look back at the resume. Do you have the skills that they're mentioning, the experiences, the computer programs? That's going to be important too. Then after that, there's other things. There's the mentoring, yes. There's the career panels. I mean, it doesn't hurt to attend a career panel to hear from an employer or an alum. So that's going to be important as well. If you can do any kind of volunteer work, or again, I'm assuming most of the students that are here are, obviously you're all School of Vision Media, so then that means that you are creative in some type of way. So as Carmen said before, she is digital arts. So if she's working on her craft, she's working on her own things, that's really great outside of the college. I've told students to have an interest in journalism. If you're not working on an article, you should be working on, well, if you're not working on an article for the college newspaper or for class, why aren't you writing an article for, let's say, LinkedIn that you can share? Or it's for your, a blog that you do. There's all kinds of stuff. So I think, especially with the students in the arts, media and the arts, because we're creative, we're creating content. And even if you're not working in the industry, or you didn't land an internship just yet, then you could still be active by creating this content, because all this content can then be shown on the resume. Yeah. So I don't want to deep dive it too much. I think just if you guys have questions, you can email me. We could potentially meet during a Zoom session, and then we would talk things through. And again, some of you probably are in various areas of where you are, right? In terms of not only college, but like what your career goals are going to be. So if there are freshmen, sophomores here that are undecided, we could talk. If you're a junior or a senior that is looking to do an internship, yes, we can talk. If you know that you are trem or film, but you're not really sure where to go within those areas, we could talk. And recent alum too, up to about 6 months or a year, we could potentially meet. However, just keep in mind, because of being short-staffed and everything else, it's limited in terms of the like counseling and things like that. Again, there are resources on the Magner Center pages on the Brooklyn College website. There are resources there for alumni. So just keep that in mind. There are resources there that can definitely help. So like I said, if you're a current student, now's the time to utilize the center, because our dedication has to be to current students, and there are plenty of students. So we have to do that. Okay. So if you guys don't have any other questions, this is great. I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, you know, a real in-depth discussion about internships, the importance of internships, how to find them, and you know, resumes and all the resources that we have. So if you have any questions, email me. We'll stay in touch. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you, Gabby, for your work today. And I hope to see you guys soon or chat with you soon. So take care, everyone.
Make sure to check out the My Career tab on the BC Navigator app, where you can track your career progress based on the amount of credits you've earned, stay updated on upcoming events from the Magner Center, and watch our videos for insight and advice on your career field.